It has been a rough year for the Vancouver Canucks, a team that came into the season with not very high expectations, but with some talent, a new head coach, and the hope that maybe by clearing some of the negative aura out of their locker room, they could have a bounce back season after a disappointing 2024-25. Yeah, that didn't happen. The Vancouver Canucks have been mostly terrible from the start of the season all the way through now. They're currently the worst team in the NHL. Of course, they were most notable throughout the season for the speculation of whether they would trade Quinn Hughes, which they eventually did for a pretty good haul, getting back picks and a good prospect in Zeke Buium. They also wisely traded Kiefer Sherwood when his value was at his absolute highest, getting back a good return for him as well. But while there are assets to be used in the future, and the Vancouver Canucks might have the #1 overall pick in a very good draft to have a high pick in, we still have to answer the question of what the hell happened this season. Because I'll be honest, going into the year, I thought that the Vancouver Canucks had some talent. I thought that they could be maybe a scrappy bounce back team. They had guys like Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson, obviously. Thatcher Demko is a really good goalie when he's healthy. Bill Pronik's a great #2 defenseman. You've got Brock Besser back. You've got some really good depth pieces like Jake DeBrusk, Philip Hedl, Connor Garland. With those pieces, the Canucks should have been at least respectable and not the worst team in the NHL. So what the hell went wrong? Well, the first major issue is that aforementioned goaltender. Yeah, he hasn't been. 2 separate stints on the IR this season, the latest stint for an undisclosed injury, with Coach Adam Foote saying that there have been a few things going wrong for him this year, and he may need to be shut down for the rest of the season. And that's really tough for Vancouver because Demko has been really their only good goaltender this year. Last year when he was out, backup Kevin Lankinen played really well in his absence, but that hasn't happened this year. He's been very subpar. Other backups like Nikita Tolopio and Yuri Patera have been and yet shown that they can be more than spot starters, so that puts a lot of pressure on Lankinen, the rest of the Canucks. And by the way, Demko's not the only one who suffered injuries this year. The Vancouver Canucks lineup is just riddled with injuries. Newly acquired Marco Rossi from the Minnesota Wild in that Quinn Hughes trade has been injured for most of his time since being acquired. Other forwards like Philip Hedl and Connor Garland have missed stretches, as well as some depth guys like Teddy Bluger, which in turn means that the Vancouver Canucks top 9 has been a patchwork of young and underwhelming players, guys like David Kampf, who they brought in from Toronto, Liam Ogren, Linus Karlsson, Max Sasson, Atu Ratu, and Drew O'Connor, to name a few. As a result of this lack of skill in their top 9, the Vancouver Canucks are bottom 5 in goals scored this season, and also dead last in goals for above expected, because this is a team that just has not been able to finish at all with the chances that they've gotten this year. Because in addition to having to lean on these younger, underwhelming forwards, they're also leaning very heavily on some top-end forwards who just have not been performing. Obviously, this is a team that willingly decided to put Evander Kane in their top 6, and they are seeing just how cooked he is in the year of our Lord 2026. This team's leading scorer this year is Elias Pettersson with 31 points. There have been 50 games played so far. Guys like Brock Besser just hadn't been getting it done the level that they need, even though they've been getting some pretty strong performances from forwards like Jake DeBrusk, obviously Kiefer Sherwood before he got traded. And on the back end, things get even worse. The Vancouver Canucks have surrendered the most goals against this season and have the highest expected goals against, so it's not like they're just getting screwed over by terrible goaltending performances. Even though Lankinen has been underwhelming, he and Demko have largely played well enough to keep Vancouver in games if they could ever get the puck out of their own zone. And worse yet, they are giving up the most high danger scoring chances against of any team in the NHL, putting even more strain on Lankinen and Demko. And then there's Adam Foote. Now, he was kind of an odd choice to take over for Rick Tocchet after he left Vancouver. And I'm not saying that Adam Foote is necessarily a terrible head coach, but it is notable that they hired a guy who only had 1 year of previous head coaching experience in the WHL, where he wasn't exactly tearing things up. And I know he was an assistant with Vancouver for the last few years, and maintaining continuity, there's something to be said for that. Truthfully, I don't know how many of the issues with Vancouver this year are Foote's fault, because it does seem like they have some decent systems in place. It could just be a talent deficiency, but I don't think that he is right now obviously the answer to their problems. Vancouver has a lot of issues, going even beyond coaching to their general manager and Francesco Aquilini, their owner, who might be one of the worst owners in the NHL. They are a team that, quite frankly, doesn't have a great looking present and not the best looking future. Hopefully, they're going to manage to get a top 3 pick and get a game changing generational talent, maybe McKenna. The fact of the matter is, right now, the Vancouver Canucks are firmly stuck in the mud, and there is no indication that they're going to be able to get out anytime soon.